Can I pet that dog? Andre Cordova.
I want to believe. Benjamin Blackman.
And welcome to Sabotage. You can whisper it.
Sorry, Sabotage.
Hi, Benji.
Hi, Andre. How you doing?
I feel so weird. Because it's like, for those who don't know, this is my boyfriend. I guess this is like a hard launch of like officially on media, my boyfriend. Mm-hmm. In saying that, you could argue that was the case when we released a song together.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Also known as BB Boy. That's his artist name. We put out a track called Love Song, and it's really good. Mm-hmm. Really cute.
Yeah, check it out.
So today we're discussing TV shows. And by TV shows, that extends to like Netflix mostly. But we watch a lot together.
Yeah, we definitely do. A lot of TV shows.
Okay, to start, we've been watching season 3 of Heartstopper. Mm. The fantasy of gays everywhere. That's what that show is. And
sometimes it's like hard to watch it almost because of the jarring reality of what life is actually like for most teens, especially closeted teens. Like this whole show is very accepting and it's presenting an environment with very minimal bias or homophobia. And it's just not realistic. Like most of the show, I struggle to not be anxious because I keep thinking that they're going to get attacked.
That's exactly how I felt. Yeah, like literally in the first episode, while they were all going to the beach and shit, and everything was just like positive and happy, I kept feeling like someone was going to be homophobic towards them and fucking attack them, do a hate crime. While that show is adorable, it definitely touches on some heavy themes. I feel as though season 3 especially has been dark with that stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely been like a slow burn moving up to the heavier topics. And they were kind of hinting at them, I guess, in the first and second season, especially in the second season towards the end. It's really important to talk about those kind of topics in a frame that will be enjoyed by the age group that the media is aimed at. The start of the TV show will be kind of tame, and then as the age group goes up, they start to up the level of
they grow with the audience
in the show. Otherwise people probably wouldn't keep watching it. So it's important, but it does kind of pull you out of the fantasy realm of everything's good and everything's great suddenly with a very hard smack to the face.
I can't help but make fun of it in a dark humor way. Like we were both cracking jokes, and I won't repeat them here because I'm not convinced that the audience can handle it. Nor do I believe that they fully comprehend what does and doesn't make dark humor, because people have very twisted ideas of what that means. Beside the point, the whole eating disorder thing, I think a big part of it was like, well, we've experienced this ourselves. So that also makes it easier to joke about. And it's like, yes, it's serious, but like, also just fucking eat something. I was like, I think what irked me more was his reluctance to speak, his communication issues. I totally understood. I get that. I used to have that problem. But I was like, just fucking say it. Like, say what you're trying to say.
I think, though, in that frame as well, that makes it much more realistic because, they presented his character from the get-go as, I wouldn't say meek, but very introverted and doesn't...
Super apologetic.
And definitely over-apologetic, a bit of a people-pleaser.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to be a burden to anyone in the show, especially his boyfriend, Nick. So I can understand why...
Who was jacked this season, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a shock going from. It's just like, very easily, believably a teenager to, not so much.
Oh, I swear to God, like, sorry to interrupt, but you just reminded me, because they have all the scenes of them, like, in the school and stuff, and you see the other students, and I'm like, what is this 35-year-old man doing in this school?
Yeah.
Like, who are they trying to fucking pass off as kids in this show?
I'm pretty sure I said to you when that happened that it's like they've, like, aged up all the actors around them to make them look younger.
Yeah, by perception.
It's kind of just warped the view of what the school looks like instead to, like, be like, there's just, like, adults everywhere now suddenly, but,
This show is the form of support that we didn't have.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, this show is saying to the demographic that it's mostly targeted towards, who often go through eating disorders, like so many teenagers go through that. But this show is like, here's the tools to help, here's who you can contact, like this is what you should do in these situations. Whereas we didn't have the luxury of that type of support because mental health wasn't taken nearly as seriously back then. I say back then, but it wasn't that long ago. Because it's only a recent thing where they're acknowledging this stuff.
Agatha All Along, the newest Disney venture.
Yeah, the next episode is
which
out,
is just sapphic queens and one gay boy.
It's so lesbian.
I love it though. Like, it's, you know, it's good to see
different.
that. Yeah,
it's a very lesbian show, but it's great. It's campy.
Yeah,
I do get a little annoyed at times because I'm like, what the fuck is happening, man? Like, I think the latest episode we saw when they were having a conversation, one of the characters was phrasing it in a way that was like third person almost or something. Like, they weren't directly speaking to each other about the issue. They were going on a monologue story about, you know, so and so, like this happened to me and it broke my heart. And it's like, bitch, she's right next to you. Just have a conversation. Like, instead of telling a ghost story around a campfire. What's wrong with you?
Avoiding the topics, I guess. You know?
Yeah.
It's their way of flirting with each other in the show without actually flirting with each other.
I was like, is this what lesbians do? Probably.
I could call my friend and ask if you like.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, before we delve into like just like random shows, what's your favorite one?
That's a big question.
I ask you this knowing the answer because we're dating. But
yeah, I mean, I have a lot of, I wouldn't say I have favorite shows. I have comfort shows that I like to rewatch, which, you know, like there's a lot of them. I very much like my campy sci-fi, so like old style things like Stargate and X-Files as well, which is not so much campy, but
those are your comfort shows. Yeah, but that's different from being favorites, because you've told me, you've given me like a small list of favorites before. I love this show. It's not necessarily something I'd return to every time I'm down. It's more like I just have so much respect for how well this show was created.
Yeah, well, probably shows like X-Files, which was revolutionary at the time. They put a woman in main character role next to a man because of her. Like, there's a statistic involved that because of Scully's character being involved in the show, it actually led to an uptake in women in America studying sciences and getting into science. And
really?
Yeah, so like it was actually quite inspiring for the general public as well.
Oh, that's so cute.
But yeah, it's just like, I think that the show itself presented a lot of moral dilemmas at the time that were not often discussed that much in the public forum. And a lot of it is still quite relevant to today, like the original Stargate series, where they were also trying to be modern at the time, but they fell short in a few situations. There's definitely some hard to watch aspects of
the progressiveness had limits.
Progressiveness, yeah. Like the second episode of SG-1, it wouldn't be made today, not in the way that they've made it. Maybe similar, but
what was it? Sexist, homophobic, or racist?
A mix of
you're like all three
and racism. There's not really any homophobia
because they didn't even include gays. Like,
well, yeah, I don't think that there is really much homophobia in Stargate. In fact, I feel like they're pretty gay forward and okay with it. Like, it's not really an issue for that kind of show. But like that episode specifically is incredibly sexist. Incredibly, but like they're framing it as sexism is bad, not good.
Okay,
yeah. So like it's just the way that they do it is so blunt and forward. It's like it's very much like sexism bad.
Yeah, it's like not very tactful.
Yeah, sexism bad, women strong, army good. Yeah, well, it's the Air Force, not the army in that show. But like, there's still a lot of things that I love about it, but I still have to like frame it in the mind of this is kind of a little bit, you know, America is the winner of everything propaganda. Join the Air Force. Yeah. So like, because like they have a lot of
I guess.
It's based in Cheyenne Mountain, which is like an actual U.S. airbase as well, and like, you know, so like there's even an episode so far down the line, because I feel like a lot of TV shows, especially like Supernatural, is also a big
I've never
culprit
seen it.
of this. They become too meta in the end. So there's an episode of Stargate where there is a character who's an alien but thinks that they're a human because they've been brainwashed.
Okay.
And they've been brainwashed to forget everything about the Stargate program, but then they start remembering it in dreams. So they write a TV show about the Stargate program, but call it X-Force One. And then the Air Force lets it go ahead so that they can then, if anyone tries to say that the Stargate program is real in that universe, they can point to the TV show and go, oh no, they're crazy, and just disprove them. They got so meta that they were like, oh, is Stargate a real thing? Like literally that's what they were doing, and it's so funny because obviously it's a massive joke, because Supernatural did the same thing. They have an episode with the Scooby-Doo gang where they all become cartoons. Yeah, where they all become cartoons.
Oh my God.
And they like solve a mystery with the Scooby-Doo gang. It's really funny.
I love Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, so like, well, I love Supernatural as well because it's so cheesy and silly and stupid, but at the same time, it's quite funny and easy to watch from that period of time. Like, you know, it's not scary at all. Like the old CGI. I really love old TV shows for old CGI.
I can't watch them for that reason.
You won't watch them with me, but I love it because I'm like, wow, that looks so stupid. Like, like it gives me joy to be like, wow, this actually passed as like something that people would have found scary at the time.
True.
And now it's just kind of like, that's
like to be fair, I find it funny to see, but I can't take the show seriously because of it. So it's like, whereas other people who grew up with it or like used to it, they can look past that and they're like, you know, there's a message being told here, there's a plot, there's a story. I can't focus on any of that because all I see is the shit CGI, and that just so it's like, it's not entertaining for me. That's the only reason I can't really watch them. But
yes, you have to. My mum always used to say you got to suspend your disbelief so that you can get into it.
Can't do it.
No.
See, I was expecting a different answer, or I'm just thinking based on a different context. On the subject of like favorite TV shows, we've shown each other and have watched through a TV show that was our respective favorites.
Okay.
The one that you showed me was Avatar.
Oh, yes, because you had never seen Avatar, and I was like, no, I believe that everyone alive should have watched this show at some point in their life because it's amazing. Like,
and I fucking loved it. Avatar The Last Airbender.
I do a rewatch of Avatar The Last Airbender at least once a year, especially when I'm sad, because for a kids show, it's very philosophical.
It's got so much depth.
Yeah.
Like, they don't make kids shows like that anymore.
I mean,
that's because they had less restrictions back then, and they had the creative ability to, you know.
Well, the character of Uncle Iroh, I don't know who the original voice actor was. I don't know his name, but in the second season, he found out that he was dying from cancer. Yeah. So there's an episode where they have multiple different stories, tales from Ba Sing Se. Yeah, and his one is really sad because he's actually singing to himself about himself dying, which is quite hard. Like, it adds in so much more context once you know that, and it's so hard to sit through that without losing it because it's really sad. But yeah, especially because the new voice actor who took on the part after he died, now when he goes to meetups and stuff, people ask him to sing the song and he refuses because out of respect.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really sad.
That's so sad.
But yeah, got to rewatch it at least once a year. And Legend of Korra, I don't care what people say. It's a good show. It's just aged up, like we were just talking about. They made it for an older audience because, you know, Avatar was for kids. And then, you know, kind of like, you got to make the progression. Well, it's all about social problems and how one person would solve it. While having so much pressure and power at the same time. As Uncle Ben says, great power, great responsibility. So that's a big aspect of the show, and not becoming corrupt. And, and that is something that I feel like a lot of children should be taught. But, you know, it's almost like you learn all this magical good things as a kid and how you should behave, and then you get into the real world and no one behaves like that. And having to hold on to those morals and conduct yourself in a way that is beneficial not just to yourself but to the world. It's very hard for most people, especially when
because people are fucking selfish.
Everyone around you is being an asshole. But you still have to remind yourself that that's not who you are. And that's why rewatching these shows is really good, because it reteaches you these lessons that you might forget. Another good one that I really like to watch, which is an adult cartoon, I wouldn't call it anime because Netflix made it, is Castlevania. I've tried to get you to watch that one.
I tried watching that.
Yeah, I don't think you liked all the violence,
No, like here's the thing. I like violence. Of course I do. I've got this whole like fucking underworld Satan thing going on with my music and such, and I'm ready to throw hands at any moment. But I can't remember what it was exactly that put me off it, sort of.
I really thought you would like it because there's like Cypher, she's really sassy to him the whole time.
You know what it is though? I only saw like one episode.
I think if you watched more of it, I would understand why I really like it
more. Like, I'd get it.
Yeah, because that's another show that delves into the human condition and how people react to just violence, essentially, and oppression from a greater power, thus being vampires trying to take over the world.
In saying that,
it discusses a lot about how bad religion is for the greater good, and from that time period.
We already know that.
Yeah, but
it's never changed. Like, religion has been the bane of the human existence for fucking forever, and they only cause problems.
People who misuse it.
Yeah.
You know, like the whole power of the rhetoric and how people who are really clever with their words can take something and twist it and make it into something else and then use that and fear-mongering in conjunction to then control people.
Oh, yeah, I know.
How they say the whole religion is the opiate of the masses. And in that show, they directly show how religion ruins the world by their actions. Surprise. From essentially witch hunting. They burn Dracula's wife alive in the first episode because they think she's a witch, but she's actually a doctor and she's just trying to help people and she gets punished. Yeah, so like...
Stuff like that shits me, though.
It's like, there's sexism in the show, there's racism in the show, there's everything. They talk about everything in an incredibly visceral and unfiltered way. And that's why I really like it and why it's so rewatchable. And they also have humor mixed in there too. It's not just sadness the whole time. It's quite funny as well.
I think I haven't seen enough of it to really tell. With animated shows, I'm very particular, I noticed.
Okay.
There has to be something about the style. It has to appeal to me. Otherwise, I'm like, I don't care to watch it. Because even if the story's good, I'm like, if it doesn't look a way that I just personally enjoy, then why would I continue watching it? There are certain shows that Kim, my housemate, for example, watches. Animated shows that look really crude in their design. I hate them because I think it's ugly.
Well, and there's a lot of different stylistic...
That's what I mean. So it's like, if I think that a style of animation looks ugly, I'm not going to watch it. It's just so off-putting to me, and I don't like gross things. So that's just kind of it. Because I brought up Avatar before, which, again, amazing show. I fucking loved it. Very emotional, and I could relate to... What's her face? Katara. So I was like, Katara is me.
I like Toph the most. She's my sarcastic queen.
She's cool. She's funny. You know?
Yeah. Constantly making blind jokes when everybody else says inappropriate shit to her.
It was so good.
She always makes light of it and makes them feel uncomfortable, which is 100%
I love that.
The best way to respond to people accidentally being discriminatory.
Yeah.
Just make light of it and make them feel bad.
Take pleasure in their pain.
Exactly.
So for me, the equivalent that I showed you.
You're talking about Jane the Virgin, aren't you?
Yes, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So Jane the Virgin, when people see it, they can't help but recommend it.
I found it quite hard to watch it at the start with you because I don't really watch much situational comedy. I find that
situational?
Yeah, like the tension of like, that's what I would classify the show as, is they create a situation to create comedic effect. Obviously, there's still drama in there as well.
Yeah.
But a big part of the show is the whole comedy aspect, and the way they create that makes me anxious.
No.
Makes me
I
so
remember
anxious.
that was so funny.
And I'm constantly trying to guess what's going to happen next.
That's because it's a telenovela.
I know.
Yeah, just to clarify for the audience, Jane the Virgin is a telenovela that is like all Latin actors for the most part, and primarily in English though, with like plenty of Spanish thrown in. It's just like an adaptation, and it's based off an actual book, I think. I'm not sure. But it is so good for the plot twists and the cliffhangers. Like every episode ends in a cliffhanger. Yeah. And like
I was always trying to guess what was going to happen next. And it would just make you laugh because I would bounce through all these different theories. And usually one of them I would say would be correct, but I wouldn't settle on that one and I would move on to another one. And then you'd be like, so you were right the first time, but then you changed it 5 times.
The more of it that you watch, the better you get at predicting the outcome and like what the twist is, because you're getting used to the way that they write the show, and you're like, okay, it is actually something batshit crazy, but it somehow makes sense.
See, with other TV shows, they can be quite easy to predict 100% because I'm used to that style of writing.
But Jane the Virgin is not quite like that.
No, not at all. No. It was it definitely threw me for a loop a few times, especially with Petra's not so evil twin. I would say she's just stupid twin. And evil mother as well, because like the 100% is just like that whole storyline just got more convoluted and incredibly strange.
I love seeing people's reaction. It's such a good show for its culture. If you're a romantic, you'll fucking love that shit. It's a bunch of fantasy, it's a bunch of comedy and drama and like some heavy stuff as well. I just think the writing is so clever. And
like Breaking Bad.
Have I seen that?
We watched Breaking Bad together.
We did, we did.
Yeah, all last year. And it pissed you off.
I hated that.
Pissed you off
it's
lot.
a good show that I enjoyed watching, but I also fucking hated it because I hate Walter.
Yeah, but you got the point of the show. You're supposed to hate Walter.
No, but that's the thing. That's the point of the show. And yet, apparently, when it was airing, most people were like, they could see themselves in Walter. Like, at the start, sure, I get it. You know, you're the runt of the fucking working class. But the fact that he is such a fucking cunt and people were idolizing this man. There is some place on Oxford Street, if it's still there, I don't know, but it's like a food place, and on their wall is a fucking mural of Walter's fucking bald ass head.
Yeah, but that shows you how much that movie had TV show had a cultural impact at the time.
I don't care about that. Put someone else on the fucking thing.
About it as well. It's on Netflix. There's like
I'm not watching it.
I haven't watched it either, but I'll probably watch it at some point randomly.
I hated him so much. And I just wanted him to fucking die.
He's kind of
the worst.
No, what I was going to say is he's kind of like, I feel like they've taken interest from like Greek tragedies almost, like with Sisyphus, like rolling the rock up the hill forever only for it to roll back down again. Because he's pathetic at the start, he's pathetic in the middle, and he's pathetic at the end. And, you know, he doesn't ever accomplish what he's trying to accomplish. He just makes...
Because he's greedy.
Yeah, he makes issue after issue after issue. He can't let the money go. He just wants more and more and more. And that is his downfall. Yeah. You know, and that in that sense, it is kind of a tragedy, really, because he had a good family and he had a good home life.
The tragedy is how...
I mean, maybe he wasn't good at communicating with his wife and maybe she was a little bit intense, but really she's the only responsible character in the whole show. Yeah. And everyone hated her. Everyone hated her character.
That's what shits me. But that was straight up misogyny. The treatment that Skylar got, like the character and the actress, was straight up misogyny. And it's so typical of you fucking incels. God forbid someone who is a little overbearing, who clearly cares, the only one who cares in this fucking show is treated with any fucking whatever the word is of respect.
I just feel really bad about the people who bought the house after the show finished because people still show up there and throw pizzas on the roof to this day, and they had to put like a 12-foot fence in front of the house.
That sucks.
I feel like at that point, knock the house down, build a new one.
We're gonna speed run a few shows.
Okay.
Shogun was a good show. Something that I found hilarious that I kind of love. No offense to the one white man in that show, but I am so glad that all the awards went to everyone else. I was like, especially that girl, I forget her name in the show, the character. I was so happy that when that show was receiving awards, it went to the people of color, it went to the Japanese people, it went to just like not the white savior man, because I was concerned when we were watching that show that that's what it would turn into. Blue-Eyed Samurai was amazing.
Yes.
Definitely recommend. Go watch it.
It won Emmys, I think. Yeah,
I'm so keen for the next season of that.
Yeah, if Netflix
I love a good story about vengeance
because they just cancelled Chaos.
Yeah, they fucking that's what we were going to get to as well. Was like TV show cancellations, which is predominantly Netflix's biggest fucking issue because when they don't view something as a success because it's not reaching whatever kind of numbers in its first like day of release, then they're like, oh, it's a flop, ditch it. Even though they spent all this money creating it and people adore the show because it's well written, which is like so fucking rare. I cannot deal. Chaos was so good. I get the feeling that
Chaos will be bought up by either AMC or HBO. That's kind of what I think is going to happen because one, it has a whole bunch of really big names behind it already casted. Two, it's extremely well written and based on Greek tragedies, which I think a lot of modern TV shows are. They just don't
very
really
popular
admit that.
Trope.
And three, everyone loves Jeff Goldblum. So, you know, like, especially, like, he isn't really playing Zeus. He's playing himself, pretending to be Zeus. But it's still amazing. Every single show,
as Zeus,
every single movie, every single show that he's ever in is hilarious. So, he's really good. But yeah, I was very sad when I found out that they cancelled that. I was kind of like, they didn't even give it a week. Already cancelled. It's stupid. I don't know who made that decision.
On the subject of Netflix show cancellations, though, there are a variety of reasons that they happen. For example, Dead Boy Detectives.
Yeah.
Because wasn't the guy who
There's
wrote
a political reason why that got cancelled, I think. Because, it had a pretty
allegations
good cult
made
following.
Or something?
Yeah, Neil Gaiman, I think that's how you say his name, had allegations levied against him by, I think, 4 separate women.
Fuck.
I think he's actually admitted to some of it too. Not like I think
so he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, I don't know too much about it. I think he did the whole "I didn't realize" defense, which is
fuck off.
Definitely not acceptable. And there's also like aspects of like all the stories that he writes are very much pandering to minorities. You know, so like it's kind of like he's profited. Yeah, he's a straight man and he's profiting off queer storylines, and like I don't think anyone had any problem with it until all this stuff came out, and then suddenly it's.
Well, I guess it depends on the delivery.
Is he being immoral? Is he trying to profit off of people's, you know?
Well, here's the thing,
untapped market. Is he just being a capitalist, you know, or is he genuinely interested and wants to invest?
True. Like, the morals and motivations, good or bad?
And it's hard to know.
Intentions are one thing, yes, but the execution of that is incredibly important, and I think that probably weighs more. If you've made an informed decision and if you've done your research, then I can understand it, because as like, I'm assuming a straight white man, right?
Yeah.
He ain't gonna have shit as inspo. He didn't have no trauma. He didn't have fucking anything. Well, so of course he's gonna take, like... He possibly
could have, but...
I know, but... Obviously, yeah. But like, just in terms of being a minority and like those stories, yes, it would be preferable to be told from somebody who actually has that experience. But if he's doing it enough justice, then it's like, okay, we can let it slide. And I'm not too surprised given his lack of like personal experience regarding trauma.
As a cis straight man as well, he has access to, you know, certain levels of media production that, you know, queer people or
that's
POC
what I mean. Like other people would be involved.
Yeah, so like I feel like that's why he got a pass, because he was making stuff and
he made that choice to do so.
Using his privilege to make media specifically for you know.
But we're not here to praise him. Just to I want to interject there. Like, just hold on a second. That was prior to this knowledge,
and that's when it says. But when the information comes out that they're allegedly a bad person, it's like, did they have good intentions, or were they just trying to like tap a market that was untapped and make money? Were they just being capitalist? And that's where it starts to get a little hazy about, you know, should I watch the new season of Good Omens when it comes out or not? Because like I think he's offered to step back from that and not be involved in it at all. But
I would rather somebody else just takes over his shows.
Yeah,
I haven't even seen Good Omens, but
it's kind of like how they're making the Harry Potter series.
No, that can get fucked.
That coming out as well.
That can get fucked. That can get absolutely fucked up the ass. Fucked up. Fuck off, you J.K. Rowling.
I'm pretty sure
transphobic.
They're trying to buy all the rights off of her, and she's like refusing. Till the day she dies.
Cares?
Kind of thing.
Who cares? It's still like, everyone knows that even if they bought the rights off her, it's J.K. Harry Potter's forever associated with JK because she never shuts the fuck up with her transphobic bullshit. Because she's being sued by Iman.
Yeah, Iman Khalif, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. Like, as soon as she decided to sue her, and I think Elon Musk, I think, is the other one that she's suing. Elon hasn't gone quiet because he has
God forbid,
a penchant to scream at the world and ask everyone to like him. But
constantly seeking validation.
I feel like her lawyers may have swooped in and been like, shut the fuck up. Because if she hadn't stopped and kept going, it would have made a much worse case. And I'm pretty sure the case against her is already pretty serious. Strong. But the thing is,
it only got her
she's a multi-billionaire, and rich people usually buy their way out of things. So I really don't expect her to face much, like in terms of the law.
I was literally having this discussion with one of my friends yesterday, or one of our friends, where it was like about Harry Potter and the fact that people won't let go. Because listen, we understand that you grew up with this. I grew up with it. I liked it too back then.
Yeah, I've read the books like 7 times.
Read the books, watched the movies. It was like a whole world to experience. But fact of the matter is, we are adults now. And as an adult, you have the capacity for intelligence and nuance to understand that this person is a horrible piece of shit. And anything that supports her is validating her. That money still goes to her. You can say, oh, she's already a billionaire. Who fucking cares? She literally feels validated by the simple fact that people are continuing to support Harry Potter. All the actors from Harry Potter have turned against her a long time ago. They've been outspoken against her.
Not all of them.
Okay, most of them. I don't know. I just assumed.
Some of them have defended her, so...
oh no, the fucking okay, no, that's where it becomes problematic. Like Helena Bonham Carter and stuff. Girl, you disappointed the fuck out of me. Because it just shows they're so out of touch. It's like, yeah, of course you don't care. You're a rich old white bitch. Shut the fuck up.
They're trying to
doesn't affect you.
They're trying to defend her right to an opinion, but they're not understanding that the opinion is damaging.
Exactly. Yeah. It literally causes damage.
That's the whole premise of and problematic aspects of the whole, freedom of speech, but not freedom from consequences.
Exactly.
So yeah, you're free to defend her, but it kind of makes you look like you're apologist to transphobia, and that's
it becomes a classist thing, which is actually massive in the UK. So it's like, okay,
class over there is very different to what it's like here. There's definitely echoes of it in Australian society, because obviously we come from British society with different accents. In my role with my job, I often code switch when I'm talking to tradies versus when I'm talking to like a school teacher.
I know, I kind of hate it.
Yeah, like if I talk to a tradie how they speak to me, they'll respect me. But if I speak to them with a clearer diction or, more rounded words, they'll think don't have any idea what I'm talking about kind of thing. So and then same with the teachers. If I start talking to them with a slightly more Ocker accent and, then they'll think that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And they won't respect me. And it's weird that so much prejudice in society is based just on accents. It's weird.
100%.
Because you could, you could be incredibly smart, but you sound like a bogan and people won't take you seriously.
That stems from racism, though.
Oh yeah,
100% stems from racism, because I couldn't tell you the number of times my mum came like crying to me and venting about her experiences at work where she wasn't taken seriously or she was being made fun of because of her accent, which she worked hard to like reduce. So
which she shouldn't have to do.
She should not have to do, but she wanted to for her career. I understood it, but like that's where that shit comes from. It's a white superiority complex, and that extends to being proper versus being bogan or whatever the fuck. I already get people who assume that English isn't my first language. They look at me and assume that
you speak English so well.
Yeah, I've gotten that.
Where did you learn?
I've literally gotten that, and it's like, fuck you, bitch. Like, if people were born here too that are of color. Like, where have you been? Holy shit. Not only that, it's like situations where they know that I speak English, but then as soon as I pull out the Westie fucking accent, or not even an accent, just the fact that I swear a lot because I enjoy fucking swearing and I like how I talk, is confronting for them because they think it means you're not as intelligent or lesser than, etc. And it's like, no, I'm going to defy that by cussing you out. So I don't care if you think that by the simple fact of me doing that means I'm like not as educated or worldly. It's like, bitch, I've been all over the world and I grew up in Western Sydney. I have experienced so fucking much. You can all eat shit. Like, I don't care what you think based off how I sound. Never going to be a thing for me.
I think we're a little off topic though from TV shows.
I know.
Yeah.
But
we
that's
got a little distracted there.
I like telling people off.
I know. You've told me off quite a few times. I understand.
The point of that, I just want to say, is like, we're adults, move the fuck on. Let it go. You can still acknowledge and respect the fact that it was a big part of your life, but recognize that it's not that fucking important anymore. It's not that serious, and it's not even that well written. People are like reflecting on JK's writing as if she's fucking God.
Yeah,
it is mid.
It's really badly written.
It's terrible world building.
The last couple are a lot better written, but the first one is hard to read.
Yeah,
because it's very blocky in the sentence styles, and she plays into the Tolkien kind of trap where a lot of exposition, a lot of description about the world around them, but it doesn't really matter at all to the story. I mean, Tolkien does that so much in The Lord of the Rings because my parents made me read the books before I was allowed to watch them. And then with the Rings of Power TV show, apparently that's not very accurate because it's based on older books, which I haven't read, which I think is the Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales. Maybe one day I'll read them, but he is very hard to to read the books that goes on and on about just the landscape and trees and shit.
Talks about the environment.
You can see that influence in the TV show or in the movies where they just have
shots of the fucking forest.
Yeah, like landscapes that look amazing and really cool. And obviously that's very big and important for world building. But I think that writers like that should write TV shows, not books.
Yes,
because
that's a good point.
like they'd be really good at writing scripts and helping set designers make the sets and everything like that. But just more dialogue, less descriptions would be good. But yeah, like the new Rings of Power TV show, for example, I know a lot of people are pissed off about it because
I just got kind of bored of the first season, and you've said that the second season was a lot better.
The second season's way better. The first season was just introducing everyone to those periods of time.
Everyone.
Yeah, well, because
there are more effective ways of going about it.
That's the other thing with his stories. They have so much content, so much backstory, and it's all interlaced.
Yeah.
So they have to take it really slow and introduce all the concepts really slowly. Otherwise, you have no idea what will be happening.
There are some things you should get over as far as TV shows are concerned, or like the extension of a franchise. Don't let it happen. Stop indulging in it. Stop giving into it, because on that subject, TV shows that never end. Because you are too fucking stupid to recognize quality, and you insist on fucking watching shit. Like, I'm sorry, in what world is there enough stories for like 50 seasons of something? I hate that. Fuck off. These shows need to end.
People, I feel like it's just that they build a diehard fan base that will just be like, yes, give us nothing. They don't care as long as they get...
they want quantity over quality.
Well, it's like going back to Supernatural and how meta the show becomes. There's an episode, I think, in the 4th season where they all get stuck in TV land. They get stuck in TV land by the angel Gabriel, who is a wanker, but he's so funny. But they get stuck in all these different TV shows, and he's trying to teach them that they have to play their part in like with the apocalypse that's going to happen. It's very convoluted. I won't get too much into it, but there's a part, essentially a procedural cop show, and they're like, oh, I hate procedural cop shows. If you watch Supernatural and break it down, it's essentially a procedural cop show without cops. They're not cops, they're hunters, and they hunt the bad things at night and stuff. But the way that the show is made, so they're like literally being like, oh, I hate cop shows. They're so annoying and boring, and they're making fun of themselves the whole time. And that's why I love Supernatural, because it's so stupid, but they poke fun at the fact that it's dumb.
That's all well and good, but speaking of that, I do hate cop shows. I'm so over it. Like the fact
I like watching them when I'm working out because I don't have to pay attention.
You know what shits me? It's like when a series does, say for example, Loki. I hated the fact that it was just some fucking detective cop show shit. Whenever they do that to a show, it's like, it's not creative. It's so overdone. It's so fucking lame. You can predict every single trope, and like they don't get along, and then they get along because they've been working together. Fuck off. ACAB. Why are we doing so much cop shit? Fuck off. Where's the police brutality then? Where are they abusing their power? Fucking do that, and that's more realistic. Eat shit. I hate when shows have like their fucking cop episodes and shit like that, because it's so boring and so overdone.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the show, the police are always...
Made me angry.
They're always presented as a hindrance, not a help. So, it's like there are a couple of episodes where there are cops that are nice and they help out and stuff.
Like, I watched that...
It's not a common theme for
I can't remember what it's called. I watched that... It wasn't Lucifer. It was like... Was it?
Yeah, I never got into Lucifer, but yeah, I know what
I watched most of it. And every episode's the fucking same because he never learns anything.
Well, he's Lucifer.
No, but it's like, it's bad writing is what that is. But...
The deceiver, he will not change. He's the same.
Except, I guarantee that's not what they were thinking when they wrote it. I've watched the show. Well, that is not what they would have considered.
That's another Neil Gaiman show.
Oh, well then fuck him.
Yeah, it's based upon his comics, I think. Lucifer is the same. It's the same character in The Sandman, but they presented him as a female in The Sandman.
It's so boring.
But I like
The Sandman, it was better.
That's
Sandman
good.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Sandman was great.
That woman from...
something Christie? What, is that her
Gwendolyn?
Name? Gwendolyn. I love her.
She has a good name. I like Gwendolyn. Yeah.
She's great. Yeah. She's gorgeous. I loved her in fucking Wednesday.
Yeah, the principal, Mrs.
So
something. I can't remember.
We've been rewatching Scrubs, shows from when we were younger, or like, that our parents watched kind of thing. That was the case for me. Scrubs was something that my parents enjoyed, and only from rewatching with you recently, I'm like, wow, this show is sexist.
Yeah, it really is.
It's so, like, but what shits me even more, well, equally, is that JD is the protagonist, much less half the cast. They are the worst people, and you're supposedly rooting for them. I cannot imagine rooting for JD. He is such a fucking cunt. He is such a bad person. He is everything toxic in a fucking man.
Well,
I hate it.
What I think is funny about that as well is that
Elliot's this fucking Republican.
When I watched it when I was younger, I did root for them because they were the main characters, and you're not really thinking
so did
about,
I. That's what shits me
about the moral issues of what they're doing. But I think what is funniest about Scrubs, and
it's still a good show and it's still really funny and entertaining. But
anyone that I know that works in the medical field, they all love it. Because they reckon it's the most accurate to what the actual living the life in working in medicine is actually like.
I've always wondered whether it actually is or not.
Things like Grey's Anatomy and all that, they're all like, no one is that dramatic. You can't be that dramatic while you're working in a job that is so hardcore.
Yeah.
You're dealing with death every day and seeing horrible parts of the human condition and trying to reconcile what they're doing. Like Dr. Cox says in the show, everything that they do there is a delay. They don't solve death, they just prolong it. Quite often they lose people, and that is a really hard thing to deal with. So they all make jokes. And like my friend Ash, she constantly jokes about everything, because if you don't, you'll get super depressed. You can't cope working in the medical field. I'd never be able to do it.
Yeah, no, I totally get that with Scrubs, and it's actually good to know that its accuracy is being acknowledged. That's good. But that's lovely and all. However, I still hate the characters, and I think they're bad people. Not like all of them. I love Jordan. I literally love how much of it, because like she's a cunt, and she's a cunt, but she does it like cunty, and it's great. Such a vibe. Love that.
But she's also constantly stating that she's dead inside and doesn't care about anything. So I feel like that's why she's a cunt, because she just doesn't give a shit.
The other thing about that show was like, okay, the sexism is very apparent and overt, like through the whole thing. However, there was a bit of homophobia in the first season, and I think they clocked some kind of repercussion for that, because the very first episode of season 2, Dr. Cox goes on one of his little rants about like, I love gay people, I love their music, I love how they dress, this, that, blah, blah. And from that point onwards, it was more of a rare occurrence. They handle racism okay. However, again, in that first season, I remember very early on, I got very pissed off. Carla, one of the nurses, she's Hispanic. Elliot, being this neurotic white girl, she'd done something, she was stressing about something or whatever the fuck. Carla literally comforted her, and Elliot's response was to slut shame Carla for how she dresses, which there was nothing wrong with how she dresses, but it was for wearing a thong. And I love the fact that Carla clapped back, but the thing that pisses me off to this day, her response prompted Elliot to apologize to Turk, I think, or JD, one of the two. Like, because she had issues with them. I don't know, something happened. She ended up apologizing to them, but she never apologized to Carla. But then later on, they become like best friends and stuff. And it just really shits me as a viewer, where it's like, okay, so she'll apologize to a fucking man, but she was nasty to Carla, and she never said sorry. And that was never resolved. It was never addressed. It's because like people of color in these shows, to be addressed,
and then they didn't have time.
I wonder if it was cut out of the edit, because that's totally possible. But again, as a viewer, it's like, this is only telling me that you do not respect women of color, at the very least. Like,
or just women in general, because you've centered the episode around, I made a mistake with a woman, and now it's made me realize that I need to apologize to this man.
Yeah.
Rather than...
That's what pisses me
apologizing
off.
to both of them,
yeah, shit like that. That's where it's like very outdated. But otherwise, yes, it is a fun show, and they did improve over time and stuff like that. House of the Dragon, we watched season 2. There was people who like, they had complaints. Just to touch on it quickly, like, I did enjoy it. I know it was like kind of on the slower paced side.
Yeah, but that's Game of Thrones though.
Sort of.
It's world building. What makes those shows great is...
It did shit me a little bit that they were just setting up for season 3.
But like... They've got two options in this situation. One, they can skip over a whole bunch of information that you would consider superfluous, but then you lack context and you don't understand why things are happening.
Yeah.
And when it's a political drama, you've got to understand why things are happening. Or two, they can go the route that they did take, which is, developing a whole bunch of stuff and introducing new characters who will have important roles to play in the next seasons to come. I think season 3 and 4 are going to be so much violence, so many wars. It's going to satiate everyone's need for
thirst for blood,
gratuitous violence.
Yeah.
And like that's like that, why watch a show like that and then get frustrated that it's slow? You should know from Game of Thrones that it's not going to be fast. Like season, I think 3 or season 4 is not that much violence in Game of Thrones. Like there still is, but like it's very sparse and peppered in. And then suddenly the later seasons, it's like, whoa, there's wars every episode and people getting killed left and right. And that's the good thing about that show is they create this tension that you're like, oh, nothing's happening, and you kind of like, wow, this is boring. I feel like I'm watching a debate, and then suddenly someone's head gets cut off, and you're like, whoa, and you're like brought back to reality suddenly. And they achieve that really subtly and with a lot of nuance. And when people get pissed off that it's not as violent as they were expecting, or that not much is happening, it's like, actually a lot of stuff is happening. You're just not paying close enough attention because you don't have a good attention span.
Yeah, I did still enjoy the season. However, something I noticed after the fact was, and we're going on like the opposite end of the spectrum regarding women as a subject in TV, they completely screwed over the women in this show by making them capable of doing no wrong. So Rhaenyra, as fucking queen, was not making the decisions. Even what's-her-face, who ended up dying and sacrificing herself, she volunteered to go fight. Rhaenyra didn't order her to go do that because in the event of her death, she doesn't have to take that responsibility. And also, what's-her-face, what's her name? The Ranger? What's the Ranger's name?
Doing that and shaking my arm doesn't make me remember any better.
What do you mean the Ranger?
Which character?
What do you mean the only other one in the show? The one who's like...
That's not helping. I don't know who you're talking about.
The one who... She was in Ready Player One and she was like, oh, don't look at my hideous birthmark.
You
and it was fucking nothing.
The Queen... I can't remember what her name is. I know who you're talking about. The Queen. She's not the Queen anymore.
Yeah.
Alicent.
That's Alicent. She's a disgusting human. But in season 2, none of that is acknowledged. And she's like trying to redeem herself with... It's like they want you to feel like her character is being redeemed, but it's completely glossing over all the horrible things she's done. And it's like, no, you facilitated rape. You're a disgusting person. You've done all these abhorrent things. But in season 2, they really pull on this trope of like, oh, the women are like... They're just subject to the whims of men. Men are the ones creating the war. Yes, that is true. But these women involved in politics are doing bad things too.
Well, I do partially agree with you. 100%. They should be responsible for their actions.
Yeah.
Her father groomed her.
No, I know that. I know that.
Who she is.
But as an adult, you still have you still have semblance of fucking coherence and control.
She was doing what she thought was right in the case of her children. She's trying to protect her children.
Yeah.
And she's doing that from a place of a lack of power. So she's using manipulation to get what she thinks she wants. And then when she gets what's coming to her...
We understand all that though.
And I think that the reason why they're kind of presenting the whole do no wrong thing, like especially with...
it's over the top.
What's his name? The blonde queen. I can't remember. Rhaenyra. She was grieving for like the whole season. That's why she's not taking any action, because her youngest... Well, not her youngest, her second youngest kid has just been brutally murdered and eaten,
I know.
And there's no body for them, and the body is a big part of like getting a religious sacrament in the show. That's so like she's going through so much turmoil, and all the men around her just want to take control and take everything off her.
I get that. I totally get that.
And your husband, who is also your uncle,
which is gross,
abandons you. Because he wants to be the king. He wants to be in charge.
Okay, no, I hated those scenes. That it was so boring. Those were particularly boring. The Ghosts
of Christmas Past.
Yeah, the Ghosts of Christmas Past with motherfucker Doctor Who, ex-Doctor Who guy, fucking Matt Smith.
Yeah.
I hated those scenes
His
so
wig
much.
is not. I don't like it.
It's not it.
The rest of the wigs in the show are great, but it's something to do with the style of the styling it back.
Yeah,
it's not believable, and because I know where his hairline is. I think it's too far forward. I'm not too sure. It just looks fucking weird. I don't like it. But the rest of the wigs in the show are pretty good. But here's one. It's kind of like, can you give him a different hairstyle or something just to like hide that he's wearing a wig? Because I don't believe it. And I keep waiting for it to like fly off and just a skull cap to be there.
Right.
Like, what about bad TV shows?
Bad ones?
Subjective, obviously. But
I think there's only one bad TV show that I was able to watch just as like... because it's silly, you know? They're having a silly fun time. And that was Once Upon a Time. It was like...
don't think I watched that one.
Yeah, it was dumb.
That was out when we were in high school, right? About
I think so.
ago?
It was like... well, because they...
it was like they were modern, but then fairy tale.
Like modern fairy tale characters.
Yeah, I always saw the ads for that and I was like, how the fuck does that work? Like, I don't understand how that could be in conjunction with each other.
It was just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But it was like convincing enough to enjoy it. I don't know. Okay. I remembered that on the subject of like shows that didn't end when they should have. I have so much respect for TV shows that know when to fucking end.
They did that on purpose with Breaking Bad. The AMC, I think.
That went too long.
Yeah, but that was, they wrote it that way. They they decided not to make any sequel TV shows.
Yeah,
because they were like, no, it's finished. This is
instead of just
wrapped
milking
it up efficiently and it's done.
I hate that they try to milk these shows because of the fan base and because people are obsessed.
That's capitalism, baby.
Yeah, and it's like you have these actors going, oh yeah, I'd love to do more seasons of blah. That's because they're getting a paycheck, bitch, not because they care about the quality of the show.
Speaking of complete shows and animations, there's a cyberpunk TV show that Netflix made. I know you don't like the video game, so yeah, that's fine. But they made a TV show and it's like amazing. Like it's actually surprisingly really good, and it's a standalone season. They're not making any sequels to it because all the characters die. But besides that, I mean, like that's the whole like premise of the whole.
Right.
Yeah, like the show is like nothing good comes from crime. What about Doctor Who?
Oh God, we're not getting into that. But I will say, no, like, okay, I
still love it though.
There are cult TV shows. They're good. I did grow up with like from the first Rose era of Doctor Who.
Yeah, and I watched original Doctor Who as well.
I never saw that. I can't watch it. It looks too old.
I used to watch it when I was a little kid, and it was on ABC. I think at 6 p.m. I think it was on. Oh my God, I'm stretching. I think it was Wednesdays. I don't know. They had it on once a week at 6 p.m. And then they always moved it around. But yeah, I used to watch that on ABC. And it was always like a really big moment when they switched from, it was really funny. They switched from gray, like black and white to color. And then they had to switch back to black and white because they ran out of money. So there's like there's a period where they were like, oh my God, it's color now. And then suddenly it was black and white again because they couldn't afford to shoot in color. But yeah, that was,
well, the only thing I want to say about it is that the season with Donna was the best one. Donna Noble.
See, I really like the previous one.
Martha.
Yeah, with Martha. Yeah, I really like the actor. Freeman, she's great.
But I think that her character got done dirty.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, because she's fucking black. Like that's why.
Martha wasn't stupid. Rose got through on dumb luck and sheer grit. That's how she survived.
Got through because she was a white blonde. That's why. Fake blonde. Fake blonde
in
bitch.
The writing, that's what her character is. Like, she's the whole, like, yeah, I may not be super educated, but that doesn't mean I'm not capable kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then Martha comes into it. Overachieving, person of color,
yes,
like doctor, literally becoming a doctor, like herself, super fucking smart, and every single achievement that she does
was shat on.
The doctor just ignores because he's grieving the loss of Rose, who was like the love of his life, and he can't get over her, which is super problematic in the first place because he's like 900 or something, and she's what 19. So like
she's still 19 by the end of that. That's fucked.
Oh no, when he meets her.
Yeah, I know when he meets her.
But even like even then, like maybe I shouldn't get involved with this human who doesn't have the lifespan that I have and like all the worldly knowledge that I have, and that I'm in a major position of power here, and that I need to respect.
They're not going to acknowledge all that in some fantasy TV show.
Of course, they're not in a fantasy TV show, and that's why when they brought Donna into it, she was like, I don't want to be your mate.
No,
I'm just looking for a mate.
She's like, mate. Fuck you, spaceman.
Exactly. And that brings it back to reality of, wait a second, no, I can't have this relationship with my companions.
Yeah.
And that was like a good full circle of like, I think that's why Russell T Davies was such a good writer for the first 4 seasons, is that he kind of did this progression of, relationship that we all want to happen, but is 100% inappropriate. And then Martha comes along, disrespects her, and she gets the fuck out. She literally gives him a speech at the end of me. This is me getting out because you don't respect me. And he 100% realizes that he fucked up. 100% he realizes at the end that he fucked up. And then Donna comes into it and takes no shit. And that like it's kind of like re-educating him to be a better person. And then the Matt Smith iteration of the Doctor, great. You know, he definitely has his faults, 100%. But
I don't know about that with the whole Amy Pond thing.
No, I rewatched it, and the whole Amy Pond thing it's like he is trying to readdress a mistake he made inadvertently because he came across her by accident. And
I know.
And then he
Amy Pond was more problematic, to be honest. Like she was instigating that shit. But we can't get too deep into that.
No,
that's
we can't.
Like,
Doctor Who. I could talk about Doctor Who for hours.
And there's also a level of pedophilia involved in Doctor Who that's very strange and weird because he's like 1 billion years old. But so the comfort shows thing, I would say the closest thing I've had to that was Family Guy. Like Kim and I would revert to just watching Family Guy for a while.
Yeah, I can't do Family Guy.
No, but then like more recently, because they've still been releasing seasons, it's not as funny. So I haven't watched it in quite a while because
all of those kind of like Simpsons as well. They've really dropped off in quality.
Too fucking long. Yeah, the quality dies.
I haven't watched any of the.
I never even grew up watching it. Like my parents thought it was too inappropriate.
See, mine were the same, but then I kind of wore them down around year 6, and then they kind of started letting me watch it.
But shows as a kid that just real quick like animation stuff I loved. Powerpuff Girls. Slay.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
Also, Totally Spies. So these are shows that like I don't know how you could not know.
The 3 high school girls?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I had a weird flashback just then. I think I saw a few episodes of that when I was a kid.
I'd be really interested to see what my perception is of it now as an adult. But like, I remember loving it as a kid. And how could you not know I was gay is the only thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I loved Kim Possible.
Kim Possible
was amazing.
Yeah, Kim Possible, Powerpuff Girls, Totally Spies, like all these shows that had female like protagonists. I was living. Yeah. I was loving that shit. It was really funny as an adult rewatching fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Because that shit's kind of wild. I will never forget. I tried
to watch that as an adult without any prior knowledge, and I was like, I can't get into this. It's very much a kid's show.
Yeah, no, but like it is and it isn't, because what's fucked up, the scene that will forever live in my mind is where Kaiba, the antagonist, is losing to Yugi, the protagonist, and he threatens to kill himself if Yugi does the play to win. Well, and that is fucked up.
It's funny that I have this piece of knowledge about Yu-Gi-Oh!
He's like, I will throw myself off this cliff.
A TikTok recently about a guy talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! And how it's really funny with the change of Western media versus Eastern media and what they will present to their kids as appropriate and what's not. Yeah. So One Piece is another really good example of this, where they will censor the absolute shit out of these shows. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Apparently they're getting sent to the Shadow Realm thing. In the Japanese iteration of the show, they are dying. They're dead. That's what's happening. They just don't want to say
Censorship
that.
Is very interesting.
Yeah, it's the same with One Piece. There's a character in it, I think his name's Sanji. I'm not entirely sure because
sounds right.
Yeah,
I
think he's the cook, and he's always got a lollipop in his mouth. In the Japanese version, he's smoking. He's smoking a cigarette. And
they did change those things.
They censor so many things about those shows.
They over-censored those shows.
Yeah, it's ridiculous because it's kind of like children know that smoking is bad. Just because his character is smoking doesn't mean that they're going to smoke. Like if your kid gets into smoking because of that, then they're not very smart. And you should probably educate them a little bit more.
Pretty fucking stupid.
But, you know.
So, okay. Netflix cancellations can go eat ass. You know what? They just care about money. That's the only thing.
Well, that's the thing. Shit shows that everyone's watching, they'll keep renewing. Emily in Paris. But, good shows, they won't renew because they're not getting the numbers.
I don't believe enough people actually watch that show to justify its run.
It's about the production value of the TV show. Chaos was too expensive.
It's advertising. Emily in Paris is used as promo for all of these companies who invest in the show.
That's what I mean, though. They're getting money through sponsorships.
Yeah, sponsorships.
And the show itself isn't expensive to make.
It is the most racist show in the fucking world. I hate it.
I don't know too much about that part. I just know it's not a good show.
They got in trouble with the government for being so racist. They literally did. The fucking president of wherever, I can't remember, like contacted them because of their depiction of someone from their country. And it's like, it was disgusting. That show is such brain rot. I have no respect, and one of my friends fucking likes it. I had to go at him for it. It was Dylan. Fucking white people love that shit, and it is so incredibly racist that it is uncomfortable. But go off, I guess. You're just being the worst of yourselves. So, shows you hate, real quick. That's probably one of them for me, and I haven't even fucking seen enough of it because I tried watching, I think, an episode for Dylan, and I was like, this is gross.
Yeah.
But Friends, I think, is...
controversial pick, but I do agree. I don't like it.
I don't like Friends. I think it's... Okay, bunch of white people living in New York City. Cool.
There's also some incredibly transphobic episodes.
Transphobic, homophobic, sexist, racist for sure. Like, I just don't... I think... Like, and also even the romantic aspect of it with Ross and Rachel, he is so toxic and manipulative. Fuck off with romanticizing that. Like, I get it. It was the fucking 50s for you people. It's like, you think that shit is normal and okay. Have some self-respect. Learn that is not okay. That's not an okay way to be treated. She throws away her fucking career, any semblance of self-respect for this ugly fucking man. I just... hate it. The fact that people are still to this day romanticizing this notion of them. I think more people now are becoming aware of it. But
like, obviously this isn't a movie, but it's the same in The Devil Wears Prada, where she abandons her career for her chef husband because she misses his birthday. And I'm sorry, what chef has the time off at 8 p.m. on a Friday to have a birthday and eat cake? It's absolutely not at all believable. It's just like,
her friends were the bad guys.
Is his restaurant some kind of matinee only service? Like, do they only cook food during the day? I don't understand. That I can't buy into that. It's stupid.
Her friends were the bad guys in that film.
100%. Yeah, because obviously she was working in a toxic industry.
You've changed, Auntie. Bitch, she's a career woman now. She changed for the better. Anyway,
Vampire Diaries.
That was a good show. No, that was not. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something else.
You're thinking of True Blood.
No, True Blood was good, and then it got weird, but it was okay. Whereas Vampire Diaries, I've never seen. I know that it's shit though. I know that it's really bad.
I watched like 6 seasons of it for one of my exes like 5 or 6 years ago, and
The Things We Do for Men.
It's terrible because it's the same thing over and over again, and they just introduce new characters, and then the new character dies. That's essentially that's how the show works. They'll be like, okay, there's a few main characters, a love triangle, 2 of them are brothers, so that's even weirder. And then they'll bring in a new character, and then suddenly the character's dead. And
so many of those shows,
that's all the show is on repeat. Same thing over and over again.
So many of those shows though, like from that time period, they fuck over people of color. Those actors, those characters, the things they do to them are disgusting.
Specifically the witch in that show, she was made to wear a wig throughout the whole filming. Because even on the red carpet, they didn't want her to show her natural hair. She got treated horribly. And I don't think many people actually know about that because they kept it all very hush-hush. And she was obviously locked into contracts and had to present herself a certain way. But they made her wear a wig the whole time. And have like long straight hair or like slightly wavy
because they want that Eurocentric beauty. They want to make you look like a white person.
They're trying to make it palatable to other white people who don't want to educate themselves.
Off the top of my head that I recall now is Riverdale. Really shit fucking show. Hate that show. Went for way too long. It was very bad.
Well, I saw something about how the at some point the school becomes a prison, and I got very confused.
No, the main character goes to juvie.
But oh, okay, because I got the impression that somehow the school became juvie.
And he convinced the other guys in juvie, he's like, you just haven't experienced the highs and lows of high school football.
I have heard that one. Yeah. That line will forever live in infamy.
Shit. Yeah. Oh my God. I hate it. It's so bad.
Have you seen all the Twitter responses to people talking shit about it? And then like KJ Appa trying to defend the show? It's hilarious.
I think they were just obligated to.
Yeah.
Look, okay, so I think that covers a really good portion of TV show stuff. We've gone over most of the things on my little list. And TV shows that had the world in a chokehold, Squid Game, that was a thing.
I never watched it.
Oh.
Yeah. When things... This is going to sound really stupid.
What?
When things have so much hype.
Oh, you're one of those. No, you're kind of one of those.
Most of the time will ignore it. until it dies down, and then I might watch it eventually.
Right.
But when there is so much hype around something, I don't want to watch it and then get disappointed.
It's a story on fucking capitalism and like class stuff. In saying that, it was only as popular as it was because of the theatrics of it. Like that's what the Squid Game itself, it appeals to people's twisted minds, and that's what made it entertaining. It's still a good show, but it's like people were pointing out there are plenty others that do the same job but better, and it's just because of the way that like it was delivered, I guess, the way it was executed. But anyway, so this concludes our talk on TV shows, because otherwise we're going to be here fucking forever.
I could talk about TV forever.
Thank you for being here, baby.
That's okay.
This has been Sabotage.
Yeah. The stranger throughout the first and second season is Gandalf, and I knew it was Gandalf from the start. I knew that was bloody Gandalf, and so many people are pissed off because the Starry, or I think that's what they're called. They're like demigods in the show. I can't remember. I might be getting that wrong. There's too many names, but yeah, they're not supposed to come into the Lord of the Rings world until the Third Age. And all the events that they're presenting in the TV show are in the Second Age.
Okay.
So yeah, the death of Celebrimbor, the fall of I can't remember what the city's called right
These
now.
are all just words to me.
Yeah. We haven't watched it, so you don't understand. And you're not going to read the books either. So you don't like reading, do you? Right, reading books?
I used to.
Well, I don't think you'd like reading Lord of the Rings.
No. I tried reading the fucking Hobbit when I was younger.
See, the Hobbit is not the same as Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit is for children. So Lord of the Rings is way harder to read than the Hobbit. I like the Hobbit, but Lord of the Rings, hard to read.
I was a reader when I was in high school. And like as a kid, and then after that I stopped.
Well, yeah. So but the funny thing with everyone getting pissed off about how the Gandalf's not supposed to be there yet is that I recently heard a rumor. Well, no, I didn't hear a rumor. I read a thing online. They reckon that they're actually showing us two different points of time. Because there's two different storylines in the show running concurrently. There's Gandalf with the hobbits, which they're calling Harfoots at the time, and then they're also showing us the elves interacting with the men and the dwarves. And those two storylines have not crossed over at all. So now they're starting to theorize that they're actually showing us two different points in time, and that they're going to have a time jump for the other timeline with the dwarves,
time jumps are kind of annoying
to catch up with Gandalf.
Okay.
But I don't know if that doesn't really make much sense story-wise.
Yeah.
Because they would have to run it all the way up to like Lord of the Rings, because Gandalf wasn't involved in the final battle with the men and the elves and the dwarves and not killing Sauron, but like taking him out.
We're not getting into this much. I'm gonna have to put it.
I could talk about Lord of the Rings for 3 hours. I'm sorry, but yeah.
Listen, the movies are great and everything, but we're not getting into that. I refuse.